What if a single distress signal, meant to call for help, summoned thousands of human warships instead? What if those warships didn't just bring rescue, but justice? In a forgotten corner of the galaxy, a desperate cry for aid uncovers a dark secret, sparks an unstoppable alliance, and sets the stage for a mission that will change everything. You're about to witness the moment when silence was broken and heroes rose. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and show a thumbs up by liking the video. Now let's move toward this wonderful story. The stars above the outer rim of Sector Delta 19 were quiet, as they had always been. That quiet shattered when a pulse of light blinked through space, unnoticed by most, but not by the third Peacekeeper fleet. Aboard the human command vessel, Solace Captain Ronan Vale sat forward in his chair, eyes fixed on the blinking icon now appearing on the main screen. "Is that what I think it is?" he asked. Across the command deck, Ensign Molly didn't look up from her console. Her fingers tapped with precise rhythm, her tone still light despite the tension. "Confirmed distress beacon, Captain. Origin unknown. Encoding's messy. Real messy. It's old. Older than anything in our standard logs, might not even be human-made." Captain Vale let out a breath, thoughtful. He was a calm man, always with that quiet look of someone who carried too many secrets but still slept well. He'd been in command long enough to know that strange signals rarely meant good news. And yet, the spark of curiosity in his eyes betrayed his interest. He turned to his tactical officer. "What's in that area?" "Nothing of note, sir," replied Lieutenant Harmon, scanning his tablet. "Empty system. A few asteroid clusters. The signal's coming from one of them. Looks like a ship caught in a debris belt." Vale leaned back slowly. "Then let's go meet our neighbors. Set a course. I want a close pass without weapons hot." 3 hours later, the Solace emerged from warp, gliding into a field of jagged rock. Among the drifting asteroids was a ship. Its hull was scuffed and scorched, clearly damaged. The design was unfamiliar, sleek but armored, like someone had tried to mix elegance with survival. Lights flickered along its surface, but the engines were dark. No movement, no signal other than the repeating beacon. "Any response from hailing?" Vale asked. Ensign Molly shook her head. "They're not answering, sir. Either they can't or they won't. Try one more time. Open channel." She tapped the screen. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Ronan Vale of the United Terran Peacekeeper Fleet. We've received your distress signal and are here to assist. Please respond." Silence. Then a sudden flicker. The ship's comms crackled to life and a voice answered. Not in words at first, but in harsh clicks and guttural tones. It took a moment for the translator to catch up. When it did, the message was simple. "This is Commander Thiller of the vessel Varathi. We are not enemies. Engines have failed. Life support is weakening. Assistance is required." Vale raised an eyebrow. "Friendly enough? Get me a visual." The screen shifted. An image filled it. A tall, scaled alien figure with deep emerald skin and narrow golden eyes. He looked worn, his posture tense. This was not someone used to asking for help. "Commander Thiller," Vale said calmly, "we're prepared to send aid. Do you have injured?" There was a pause before the alien nodded. "Minimal injuries, but our ship cannot move. We are stranded. We activated the beacon, not expecting humans." Vale exchanged a glance with Molly, who gave a small shrug. She mouthed, "Death World reputation." He nodded slightly. "Let's prepare a boarding shuttle," he said. "I want a medical team and a tech crew ready, and let's keep comms open." As the humans moved into action on the alien ship Varathi, Commander Thiller turned to his second-in-command. They came. First Officer Region looked uncertain. "That many ships? For one beacon?" Thiller's four-fingered hand tightened on the Audi railing. "More than one. Look." Out of the window, more human ships were appearing. First 5, then 20, then hundreds. Silent, coordinated, vast. They arrived like a wave, steady and sure, surrounding the system but not attacking. The presence was overwhelming, yet disciplined. "They are not just rescuers," Thiller said quietly. They are watchers, protectors, or judges. Rejun's scales flushed darker. What if they know about the cargo? Thiller did not answer. He looked at the silent crates sealed in the lower decks. A mistake, perhaps. Activating the beacon had seemed safe. After all, humans were scattered across the stars, but their numbers were few. Or so the stories said. Now, those stories seemed wrong. Aboard the Solace, Vale stared at the growing fleet on his display. Ships were responding from all over. Patrol units, exploration vessels, even science cruisers. The beacon had triggered more than a rescue. It had triggered a call to arms. Ensign Molly whistled low. Looks like every human ship in 2 sectors. Just got the ping. Sir, that beacon's broadcasting across old emergency frequencies, including military-wide. It's not just ours. It's everyone's. Vale smiled, but it was a cautious smile. Well, they called for help. They got it. Back on the Varathi, Thiller felt the hum of scanning waves pass through their ship. A low vibration, subtle but present. He knew what it meant. They are studying us, he muttered. Rejun took a step forward. Should we power down the weapons? No, Thiller said, then paused. His tail twitched. Yes, do it. We are not in command of this meeting. Not anymore. Outside, the human fleet formed into precise lines. No weapons were fired, no threats made, and yet, the message was clear. You called. We came. Now tell us who you are. And just like that, the quiet of the stars had been replaced by the weight of a new beginning. The quiet tension between the 2 ships could be felt even across the vacuum of space. On board the human command ship Solace, Captain Ronan Vale stood at the center of the bridge, arms folded, eyes fixed on the alien vessel floating nearby. Despite their rough appearance, the aliens had powered down their weapons, which was a good sign. But that didn't mean trust. Came easily. Vale had seen too many tricks in deep space to relax just yet. We're getting a stable connection now, Ensign Molly announced, her fingers dancing across the console. Their systems are patchy, but we've got full visual and audio. Ready when you are, Captain. The screen blinked to life again. Commander Thiller appeared, his scaled face calm, though his posture betrayed his unease. He looked like someone bracing for bad news. Vale gave a small nod. Commander Thiller, we appreciate your cooperation so far. Medical and technical support is standing by. But before we go any further, I need to ask you something important. What exactly were you transporting before your ship broke down? There was a pause, just a heartbeat too long. Thiller glanced to someone off screen, then back at the camera. General supplies, he said carefully. Trade goods. Lieutenant Harmon's voice cut in quietly over Vale's earpiece. Captain, our scans say otherwise. Their cargo bay is shielded, military grade. Vale sighed softly. Commander, he said aloud, his voice patient but firm. You've got heat shielding around your cargo and our scanners are reading strange energy signatures. That's not typical for trade goods. If there's something you're hiding, now's the time to come clean. Thiller's jaw clenched. We are in need of help, not interrogation. Commander, Vale said, that beacon you activated, it's an emergency frequency used across all human systems. That means every fleet, every outpost, every listening station in the area got the alert. This wasn't just a call for rescue. It was a call to everyone. As if on cue, new ships began to appear in the surrounding space. One by one, sleek human cruisers and frigates blinked into position. The sky outside the alien ship grew dense with human firepower. On board the Varathi, First Officer Rejun stared at the screen in disbelief. Are they invading us? No, Thiller whispered. Not yet. Back on the Solace, the bridge door slid open, and a woman stepped through. Tall, composed, and dressed in the dark uniform of the human diplomatic corps, Ambassador Juno Rice walked with the air of someone used to dealing with crises and secrets. She had joined the fleet weeks earlier, quietly observing its operations. Now she stood beside Captain Vale, eyes sharp and calculating. Permission to speak with our guest? She asked. Vale nodded. He's all yours. The ambassador stepped forward, folding her hands behind her back. Commander Thiller, she began. You activated a beacon that humans use for high-priority emergencies. That's the only reason our fleet came. But now we've found enough suspicious data to suggest that this isn't a simple rescue. So I'll ask only once. Who are you really, and what are you carrying? Thiller stared at her. His voice, when it came, was quiet. We were promised safe passage. We believed the signal was neutral. There's nothing neutral about summoning a human fleet, Rise replied. And you've summoned more than one? From the bridge window, the sky glowed with the arrival of even more ships, sleek white destroyers from the 4th Patrol, science vessels retooled for combat, even old warships that hadn't been seen since the frontier conflicts. All had responded to the same signal. They weren't attacking, but they were waiting. On the alien ship, crew members were beginning to panic. Regin leaned in close to Thiller. They know. We can't hide it anymore. Thiller said nothing. Instead, he gave a signal to the control crew. The screen behind him flickered, revealing their cargo hold. The room was packed with containers, sealed, heavy, and clearly marked with warning symbols in multiple languages. Some of them bore logos from colonies known to have suffered raids. One box was even labeled with the flag of the Terran Vega Alliance. Captain Vale leaned forward. Those are stolen supplies. We didn't take them ourselves, Thiller said quickly. We were instructed to transport them. By who? Ambassador Rise asked. Thiller hesitated. We cannot say. You'd better, Vale said, now without the earlier warmth in his tone. Because right now you're a stranded ship surrounded by 3,000 human warships. Lying isn't just dangerous, it's pointless. A new voice joined the conversation. This. One human and much less diplomatic. They're placing bets, sir, reported Lieutenant Derek Blaine, grinning as he strolled onto the bridge. On how long it'll take these guys to fold. My money's on 5 minutes. Vale gave him a sharp look. Not helpful, Lieutenant. Just saying, Derek replied with a shrug. They're either pirates or smugglers, and they sent out a universal call like it wouldn't get noticed. I mean, who does that? Commander Thiller's voice broke the tension. We are not pirates. Rise raised an eyebrow. Then prove it. Tell us who sent you and why you're carrying stolen goods. Outside, the formation of human ships tightened. It wasn't a threat, it was a reminder. Help had arrived, but help came with questions, and answers would be required. Thiller looked around his bridge. His crew was silent. The truth was weighing on him now. Whatever deal they had made, whoever they worked for, it was clear that humans were not the pushovers they'd been told to expect. Finally, he looked into the screen. Fine, he said. We'll talk, but you need to understand, we didn't know what we were getting into. On the Solace, Captain Vale sat back slowly. The door was opening. But whether it led to diplomacy or disaster was still unknown. A cold silence filled the command deck of the Solace as the truth began to unfold. Commander Thiller had finally agreed to speak, and what he revealed changed everything. The aliens were not ordinary traitors. They were working for a group called the Vale Syndicate, an organized network that operated from the shadows, stealing from vulnerable colonies and enslaving innocent civilians to work in hidden labor camps scattered across distant star systems. Ambassador, Juno Rise stood quietly as Thiller explained. Her face didn't change, but her eyes grew colder with each word. Captain Vale listened carefully, arms crossed, saying nothing. Everyone on the bridge understood the weight of what they were hearing. This wasn't just about a single ship with stolen goods. This was a larger problem, something that stretched far beyond one crew and one cargo hold. According to Thiller, the Varathi had been tasked with transporting stolen supplies to one of the Vale Syndicate's hidden bases. These bases weren't just storage facilities. They were prison stations, places where thousands of people were forced to work under brutal conditions. Most were taken during colony raids. Others were lured in with false promises, only to disappear without a trace. Thiller and his crew had never seen the camps themselves, but they'd heard the stories. They followed orders and didn't ask questions. Until now, Admiral Neris Cole joined the communication line from the command ship Zephyr, which had just arrived with the 6th Fleet. Her voice was calm, but sharp. "Commander Thiller, we appreciate your honesty. But your silence, until now, has cost lives. We will act swiftly. This ends today." Captain Vale turned to his officers. "Prepare a full scan of the sector. I want every trace of that base's location analyzed. Thiller, we'll need coordinates. Anything you can give us." Thiller looked down, ashamed. "I only know one thing. The slaves are being held at a place called Lantern Station. It's hidden in a dead zone surrounded by asteroid belts and static fields. That's how they keep it off standard scanners." Vale nodded. "Then we'll find it." Technician Ivan Trell, a former smuggler turned fleet analyst, worked with the human intelligence team. He had once moved illegal cargo for the Vale Syndicate before escaping their grip. Now he used that knowledge to break into the encrypted codes on the Vorathi. It didn't take long for him to find a series of flight plans and cargo records that pointed to Lantern Station. The location was real, and worse than anyone had imagined. Meanwhile, the mood aboard the fleet shifted. What had started as a rescue mission was quickly turning into something bigger. The crews worked day and night to gather intel, plan an infiltration, and prepare their weapons. But this wasn't about revenge. It was about justice. Scout Team Leader Calave was chosen to lead the rescue operation. She was known for her calm focus and quiet strength. As the first human to step aboard the Vorathi, she'd looked Commander Thiller in the eye and said, "We're not here to punish you. We're here to save them." That simple message had sparked something in the alien crew. Guilt, maybe, or a buried sense of duty. Thiller agreed to help the humans find the station. So did his officers. The mission plan came together fast. 3 human fleets would hold position in nearby systems to provide cover. A small strike team, including scout ships and medical transports, would enter the dead zone through a narrow route only Thiller's ship could guide them through. The Vorathi would lead under escort, pretending to deliver cargo as usual. Once inside, the real operation would begin. Ambassador Rice addressed the combined fleet via a secure broadcast. Her message was clear. This mission is not only about freeing prisoners. It's about proving that cruelty in the dark corners of the galaxy will not be ignored. The Vale Syndicate has operated in silence for too long. That silence ends now. Thiller stood beside her as she spoke. No longer just a stranded commander, he was now a witness, and perhaps in his own way a redeemer. He had chosen to face the truth rather than hide from it. And that decision would change more than just his fate. As the final preparations were made, Vale took a quiet moment on the observation deck. He looked out at the stars, knowing what was at stake. Somewhere out there in the cold dark, thousands of people were waiting. They didn't know help was coming. They didn't know anyone still cared. But they would find out soon enough. The fleet moved out, slipping into warp one by one, vanishing into the void. They were no longer just rescuers. They were messengers. They were justice in motion. And ahead of them lay Lantern Station, a hidden place, built on pain and silence, now about to face the truth. No one spoke as the ships crossed into the dead zone. The stars outside grew fewer. Signals disappeared. It felt like stepping into another world, one where no help could reach. But the humans came anyway, not because they had to, but because they refused to let fear decide who deserved to be free, and that, more than anything, made them dangerous to those who thrived in shadows. Lantern Station hung in space like a secret no one wanted to remember, surrounded by dead stars and thick fields of space debris. It was nearly invisible to sensors. From the outside, it looked like little more than a worn-out mining hub. But inside, it held thousands of lives, people stolen from their homes, forced to work in dark halls for a syndicate that saw them as nothing more than tools. That was about to change. The strike force led by Captain Leah Oren exited warp just outside the dead zone, quiet and ready. Her ship, the Resolute, held back as the alien vessel Vorathi, now flown by Commander Thiller under human escort, led the approach. The plan was simple: get close without raising alarms, then disable the A station systems and launch a full rescue. But everyone knew that once they got inside, simple wouldn't last long. Thiller sat in the command chair with a strange look on his face. He had once feared the humans, but now, working beside them, he'd seen something else. Determination, not cruelty. They fought not for power, but for people. His crew, once reluctant, had begun to help too. They shared what they knew about the station's layout, guard schedules, and weak points. Thiller knew he couldn't erase what they had done in the past, but maybe, just maybe, they could do something right today. As Varathi neared the station, they received the expected greeting from the gate control. A bored voice crackled through. "State your cargo and clearance code." Thiller's voice didn't shake. "Delivery from Sector 9, standard route, code 37 Alpha." There was a pause, then clearance granted. They drifted toward the docking bay, slow and steady. On board the hidden strike vessels riding. Just out of view, human teams stood ready. Scout team leader Calave double-checked her gear, her face calm as always. She had led rescues before, but this one felt different, bigger, heavier. She glanced at her team and gave a quiet nod. This is it. As soon as Varathi docked, the humans moved fast. Special forces swarmed the corridors, disabling systems, and sealing off control rooms. Guards on the station reacted quickly but were caught off guard. These weren't raiders or rebels. The humans fought with precision and coordination, clearing areas without causing harm to the prisoners. Every move had purpose. Every action was made to save lives, not take them. Commander Thiller guided the humans through the maze-like lower levels, where most of the prisoners were kept. When the first group was found, tired, weak, and scared, it stopped everyone in their tracks. Some hadn't spoken in weeks. Others looked at their rescuers with disbelief. One child reached out and asked, "Are you real?" And Calave, kneeling down, simply replied, "Yes, you're safe now." The evacuation began. Shuttles moved in waves, taking groups of rescued prisoners to safety aboard medical ships waiting in orbit. Human doctors and nurses treated wounds and offered kind words in every language they knew. No one was left behind. But the fight wasn't over. Just as the last group was preparing to board, the Veil Syndicate's flagship dropped out of warp. The Obsidian Maw was a massive warship, twice the size of anything nearby. Its captain had come to defend their operation, unaware that they were walking into a trap. What followed wasn't a battle, it was a message. Captain Leah Oren had been waiting. Her fleet formed a perfect defensive line around the station. The Obsidian Maw fired first, hoping to scare the humans off. It didn't work. The human ships didn't flinch. Instead, they returned fire in a carefully controlled wave, disabling weapons and engines without destroying the ship. The fight lasted less than 10 minutes. The Syndicate crew, stunned by how fast their advantage vanished, surrendered. In the quiet that followed, Admiral Neris Cole addressed the surviving prisoners over the station's comms. "You are free," she said. "You are not forgotten, and we will never allow this to happen again." Commander Thiller stood beside her. He had helped save lives today, but he knew his past couldn't be erased. When Captain Oren approached him later, she didn't accuse or threaten. She simply said, "You have a choice now. You can return to your people and hide from this, or you can help us stop it from happening again." Thiller didn't hesitate. "I want to help." And he did. Over the next few weeks, he worked alongside humans to find more of the Syndicate's routes, bases, and hidden partners. His knowledge saved time, lives, and effort. He testified before the Galactic Council, exposing everything he knew. His actions helped bring justice, not only to those freed from Lantern Station, but to countless others. Months later, on a peaceful outpost, near the rebuilt Vega colonies, he met with Calave and Captain Oren one last time. "You were right," he said. "I can't change the past, but maybe I can help shape what comes next." "You already have," Oren replied, offering a small smile. "And there's more to do." As they looked out at the stars, new signals began to appear. Some were distress calls. Others were messages of hope. One beacon blinked quietly on a nearby screen, another call from someone in need. Without hesitation, the humans prepared to answer it. Because that's what they did. Always.